the topic is going to be correlated to another topic, that is going to be ITSZ, that is Indus Sampo Suture Zone. So it is going to be correlated with another topic here, that is what is Indus Sampo Suture Zone, why is it that it evolved, and what is impact on the drainage. Now in this case we are going to be talking about what are ophiolite assemblages and how is it that they have evolved. So they are going to be effectively, we are taking up two questions but then taking it in a manner that goes on to become one question. That is question number 6 and question number 7. One is what are ophiolite assemblages, question number 1, and the second is going to be associated with the ITSZ, that is Indus Sampo Suture Zone, two of them. Beginning with it. Now you must go on to know that this is a question that is very, very, very technical. It is a question that again has never ever been asked, and now the whole of the world goes on. We're talking about ophiolites. So all of those notions with respect to all of those type of notions which have been with respect to whatever was talked about in geography is completely null and void. It's rubbished by geologists. Of course, geology is logical, geography is graphical, it's a description, so there is bound to be some type of a difference. But then we understand that the UPSC is moving more and more towards being logical, and that is the reason why we happen to be picking up this topic in such a manner. So the topic is going to be technical. The advantage of picking up such type of a topic is going to be that of course it will go on to cast a very, very good impression on the examiner, very, very, very good impression on the examiner. That is one. The second is that this is going to be another of this topic that will go on to cast another type of an image of yours if you are able to handle this topic and able to make up this topic. The third part is associated with 3 more aspects, and that is going to be having some drawing. This is a very complicated drawing. So of course only when you're going to make it, then going to go ahead with it. If you can't go to make such a drawing, then it's futile to go ahead with it. The last is associated with that. The examiners in this case will not going to be having very high hopes and very high expectation. What they'll be having is in mind is that you will be able to explain that in a simple manner. Of course, if you can go on to insert simplicity in this case. So these are the 4 aspects associated with the topic. It's going to be very, very marks fetching all in all if you are able to handle this part. So we are going to be picking up both of these topics. Ophiolite assemblages, 1, Indus Sampo Suture Zone, and its impact on the drainage. 3 topics combined. Of course, they are going to be presented to you in form of 2 questions. Coming to the first one, what are ophiolite assemblages and how is it that they originate and evolve? These are the 3 components of it. Talking about the meaning of it first. That's the first component of it. Ophiolite assemblage is an assemblage of rock formations frequently found in great mountain belts, characterized by upward sequence of. Now, the meaning in this case is it's an upward sequence of. This is the catch word, upward sequence. Upward sequence of what? So upward sequence of ultramafic rocks, basaltic rocks, and deep sea sediments. Now we are not going to be talking about shallow sea sediments, deep sea sediments. That means those type of sediments that are going to be found somewhere 4,000 to 6,000 kilometers below the, meters below the surface. That means 4 to 6 kilometers beneath the surface. Ophiolites represent the oceanic lithosphere. That's part of the oceanic lithosphere, and oceanic lithosphere is typically made of basalt. The lowest layer of it is going to be made of gabbro. So basalt and gabbro, these are the two rocks that go on to form that, and it is these layers that are tectonically emplaced. We are going to say that it is oceanic lithosphere that is tectonically emplaced. The catchword in this case is going to be emplacement. Emplaced, that means is tectonically emplaced. It is going to be somewhat thrust upward. It is going to be tectonically emplaced onto an island or continental margin. For example, if we can understand this, if this is where was an ocean basin, and supposing this is where there was a continental part, this was the continental part, then it means that here all of these subducting portions have been tectonically emplaced on the top, either on the continent or had it been island up there as well. So it is this is what we're going to be calling it by the name of a tectonic emplacement, the movement of it upward. So of course, as you can go to understand it, the whole of this section is going to be made of basalt and basaltic materials. They are the one who are made of basalt, and then they're going to get themselves scrapped. This is how exactly as they're going to move along this crust, they have been scrapped. That is how they have been scrapped. And then when they have been scrapped, they have been plastered upward. So they're going to get plastered upwards with all of those type of marine sediments. Those type of sediments that are going to be found at a level of something like some 4 kilometers or 6 kilometers deep below. As you can go to find deep ocean sediments here, even in the present oceans as well. So they're going to get emplaced with these crustal materials, oceanic lithosphere, along with some of the deep sea sediments. This is what has happened in India also, and that is the way that the Karakoram mountains have been formed. Now, Karakoram is one example of such type of tectonically emplaced rocks. Karakoram in ancient literature used to be called by the name of Krishnagiri. It used to be called by this name, Krishnagiri. That was the name that was going to be given to it. Now, how is it that these type of ophiolite sequences and ophiolite rocks kept on evolving and they went on to evolve? It is a case of two continents colliding together. Now, the diagram in this case goes on to become important and significant. So these are the two continents. That is what was India. This was the continental portion of India. That is, this is continent, and this is the oceanic section of it. This is where was a Tibetan region. That's where was the Tibetan plate. And this was again going to be continental, this was oceanic. What happened here was, it led to formation of an island arc. So there was an island arc that formed. This island arc, the remnant of this island arc is still going to be found in some places like the Kargil Mountains. Kargil Mountains are representative of this island arc. That was a paleo island arc. So as the two continents collide, they kept colliding. The edge of the sedimentary deposit, that means with the sediments accumulated on the trench and on the ocean floor, were compressed into tight folds. So supposing that collision took place, then what happened was, in the subsequent phase, there was a formation of a fold mountain. That's largely because the whole of this portion got itself closed, squeezed. Second phase, the plates that were approaching it, that is how they were approaching it, they led to formation of this mountain. By that time, the island arc had been squeezed and the whole of this region has been consumed. So mountain mass went on to form. So they were compressed into a series of tight folds. The continued compression force then split up, sheared along multiple faults. What happened was, as India approached it, that is, as this section approached it, it was going to be compressed even more. And then what happened was that these mountains rose further as India went on to approach it. Now, in this approach of India, certain changes took place. That is, this is how exactly India went on to go inside it as well. Now, while it was moving inside, there were a series of faults took place. One fault was here, another fault was here, and as it was moving inside, one of this portion of it was scrapped. This is how it was scrapped, and it is this scrapped portion that plastered itself. That is, while it was moving inside, it was this portion that got itself scrapped. It was this scrapped portion that you still go on to find inside. And where exactly? This is going to be rising in the form of the Karakoram ranges. That is what scrapping did in this case. So, in this scrapping, what happened was, all of these ultra basic rocks here, which comprise of dunite, which comprise of pyroxene, which comprise of gabbro, and all of these upper mental materials, along with it, was that abducted. Now, this is not called a subduction, it abducted. This is called as it abducted, or it's going to be called by the process of abduction. So it was this abduction that allowed it to rise further in that case. So while it rose, all along this, the complexion of it was this abduction that we're going to be calling it by the name of ophiolite. Now, while it was going to be taking place, as you can go to take a look at it, then in the process of it, the whole of this rock sequence went on to become very, very chaotic, and it went on to become exceptionally deformed rock material. It is this exceptionally deformed rock material that took place, that is what is called as ophiolite, and that is how the ophiolites evolved as well. Now, if we can go to clean this diagram to give you a better idea, you will go on to understand it even better. Cleaning it, we'll go on to begin with it in such a manner. This is where the Indian plate was approaching it. As it was approaching it, that was leading to formation of some of these mountains, and this is how these mountain masses rose. Now, while it was taking place, this portion was being scrapped off. It was being scrapped off. That is how this portion was getting itself scrapped off. Now, this process went ahead. Now, in the second of it, as you can go to find it, this is where was the continental part. This is where was the oceanic part that was subducted. And again, this scrap portion that is how this Himalayan formed. And then again this scrap portion was moving upward. That is the way it was moving upward. This was the way. That was how exactly it was moving upward. This was the scrap portion. Now, as it was moving upward, it was leading to formation of a fault. All along this zone, it was going to be leading to formation of a fault. In the next stage, what happened was that is it stopped subducting, and that the mountain ranges went on to form here. That is how these mountain ranges form. And by that time, all of this, all of the oceanic crust that had subducted, that had got itself scrapped up, and that is where it got itself plastered. Now, that was the way in which it got itself plastered. Now, you understand it, this is how exactly these mountains got themselves plastered in this case. This was the way. And when they went on to move in such a manner, let's say this was where was the mountain mass, that's how it was. This is how plastering was going to be taking place. And that formed the Shivaliks, that formed the Lesser Himalayas, formed the Greater Himalayas, Jaskar ranges, and this is where was the Karakoram ranges. The activity taking place all around it went on to become very, very complex. It had very complex rocks, and that was going to be called by the name of melange. This process had been called by the name of abduction, not subduction. That was the name that was given to it. It was abduction that led to the formation of such type of ophiolite complex. And these melange of rocks form the 20 to 30 kilometer wide belt through which it's a fault, it's a crack on the top. Now, this is where they go on to be this is the place that they go on to be existing here. And it is along this crack on this side, it is along this crack here that the two rivers go on to move. That is where the river is going to move. It's a crack, that is Indus towards the north and the Sampo towards the south. This also goes on to point out that it's the meeting point of two plates, Indus, Sampo, Sucha zone. That is, on one side is going to be the Tibetan plate, on the other side is going to be the Indian plate. So it is going to be called by the name of as it goes on to suggest, Indus, Sampo, Suture zone. That means along this zone, the two of these have got themselves stitched. That means along Indus and Sampo, they have got themselves stitched or sutured. Some of these people have got itself sutured in this place. So this goes on to answer the second question that we are talking about, impact on drainage. Its impact on drainage had been that it's a fault, it's a crack. It is through this fault or crack that Indus river goes into flow in the north, and the Sampo river, which is going to be the name of Brahmaputra in a Tibetan region, that goes on to flow towards its south. So that is how exactly it went on to form. The IT set therefore is a highly deformed, and it is characterized by the presence of vertical thrust sheets. This is a vertical thrust sheet, and it is this thrust sheet that is not inclined. That means the faults are not inclined. They are going to be almost looking vertically in this case. These were the two questions that were answered in such a manner.
To have more such discussions and analysis, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for notifications on our upcoming videos.